Fast Fusion is the fourth or third, depending on how you look at it, game in Shin'en Multimedia's F-Zero/Wipeout hybrid racing series. Debuting on the Wii's WiiWare service with Fast Racing League, then moving on to HD with the Wii U and Fast Racing Neo, which was then ported and expanded on Switch with Fast RMX, since me and 12 other people are the only ones who bought a Wii U. The series has now made the jump to UHD with Fast Fusion on the Switch 2. It's a little content light compared to its predecessor, but quality over quantity seems to be the name of the game here. Fast Fusion embraces the Switch 2's capabilities with a number of visual profiles, although I honestly don't know what the point of some are. The ultra quality setting is the peak of visuals here, with 4K visuals, maximum texture detail, and even ray tracing. The trade-off, though, is that the game only runs at 30 FPS on that setting, but it is at least a stable 30 FPS. Still, though, that's not the ideal way to play a game that goes this fast. Below that, you have the quality setting, which is what I use. No ray tracing here, but it still runs at 4K with a solid 60 FPS frame rate. Below that, you have a balanced setting that offers 1440p and 60 FPS, and there's also a performance setting for 1080p and 60 FPS. It's really disappointing that even dropping the resolution all the way down to 1080p doesn't offer support for the Switch 2's 120 FPS capability. Although Shin'en has said that they're exploring adding 120 FPS support in a future update. I think there's a fifth setting that I'm forgetting, but with 4K, 1440p, and 1080p all running at 60 FPS, I don't really know what the point is. Still though, the game looks great, and while Digital Foundry's analysis went into some detail about some blurring that occurs due to the way Shin'en used DLSS here, I honestly didn't notice any visual issues whatsoever while I was playing, given how fast the game's pace is. That really seems like it's probably more of an issue for people watching others play, rather than those playing themselves. Fast Fusion features numerous game modes. The traditional championship mode is your typical Grand Prix. You race a set of 3 tracks for each championship, and there are 4 championships in each of the game's 3 difficulty settings. Although I'm pretty sure the tracks are the same and in the same order in all 3 difficulties. Subsonic is pretty easy and definitely akin to Mario Kart's 50cc. Supersonic is basically Mario Kart's 100cc, and for experienced players who haven't really mastered the game yet. Hypersonic is the game's 150cc equivalent, and it definitely gets hard. I fought hard for some second and third place finishes in Hypersonic. In addition to Championship, you've also got Time Attacks, where you try to beat the developer's best time on game tracks, and lastly you have the new Superhero mode, which is the game's hardcore mode. You have to finish the race without crashing a single time and without running out of energy, and your energy is used both by your shields as well as your boost, so you have to be very careful and judicious with how you use it. I have honestly never finished a race on this mode, although not for lack of trying. It's difficult, and I suck at the game. The last gameplay feature, which is really the star of the show and the namesake, is the Vehicle Fusion. As you earn in-game money in the races and buy vehicles, you have the option of fusing them together. Sometimes these fusions are nothing special, but other times they'll yield an immensely powerful vehicle. I ended up using a fusion that maxed out top speed, almost maxed out acceleration, and had about 2/3 of the way to max for boost. You'll definitely want a good fused vehicle for hypersonic difficulty and the time attacks. Honestly, the only real letdown with Fast Fusion is the amount of content. There aren't a lot of tracks, so you'll probably get bored with the track variety pretty quickly. To Shin'en's credit, they have promised that free updates are coming in the future to add more tracks, and potentially that 120 FPS support, but at launch it is admittedly a bit content dry. As I said earlier though, what content is here is excellent. Quality, not quantity, folks. Fast Fusion is an excellent racing launch title for the Switch 2, for gamers who might want something a little more intense than Mario Kart. It sadly doesn't support online play like its predecessor did, and that genuinely is a bummer, but I'm hopeful that that too can be added in an update down the line. Other than the limited track selection and the lack of online play though, Fast Fusion is probably the best game of the series. At the very least, I would put it as a tie with Fast RMX. If you have a Switch 2, I definitely consider this to be a must-have. It's digital only, for now at least, but it's only $15, and that's more than fair in asking price. My rating for Fast Fusion on Switch 2 is an A.